Esta semana, VICE News presenta la guerra contra Boko Haram. Entramos a las filas del ejército de Nigeria para presenciar desde el frente de batalla la guerra contra este grupo islámico radical.
Kill Boko Haram.
Y después visitamos uno de los barrios más ajetreados de Tokio para conocer el fenómeno de las colegialas a la venta en Japón. Desde 2009, el grupo radical islámico Boko Haram amenazó la paz en el norte de Nigeria con el fin de crear un Estado islámico, infundiendo terror a través de atentados, decapitaciones y secuestros. Cash Larsen, corresponsal de VICE News, viajó con el ejército de Nigeria, el cual ha intensificado la lucha en contra de este grupo terrorista, siendo el único reportero en el campo de batalla que pudo presenciar el comienzo de la insurgencia militar.
I'm in Nigeria. It's one of the wealthiest countries in Africa, but since 2009, it's been facing an insurrection in the north from a group called Boko Haram. I traveled to Nigeria to embed with the country's army as it ramped up its fight against Boko Haram. Nigeria is almost equally divided along religious lines. The country's southern region is predominantly Christian and is home to oil and a thriving economy. The north of the country, on the other hand, has a majority Muslim population. With minimal natural resources, the north is extremely poor. Couple that with the lack of government presence, and it's become a breeding ground for the rise of radical Islam. In 2002, Muslim cleric Muhammad Yusuf founded the group Boko Haram. The name loosely translates to Western education is forbidden. As the only journalist on the front lines, I arrived at a unit located less than a kilometer away from enemy forces. So they just blasted off a 122 millimeter shell. They shot it, I think you said, almost 9 kilometers into enemy territory.
The most important thing is that once we sight them, either their vehicle or their motorcycle, we have to fire the general area.
In 2009, after Nigerian security forces killed Yusuf, his deputy, the more radical Abu Bakar Shekau, took over the group and violence increased exponentially.
Danger.
It wasn't until 2014, with the abduction of nearly 300 schoolgirls from Chibok town in Borno State, that Boko Haram drew international attention and condemnation.
My husband and I are outraged and heartbroken over the kidnapping of more than 200 Nigerian girls from their school dormitory in the middle of the night.
The Bring Back Our Girls campaign was extremely successful at increasing awareness of Boko Haram. Unfortunately, it did almost nothing to prevent further attacks, and Boko Haram continued to terrorize northern Nigeria, causing thousands of refugees to flee their homes in rural areas and head to the city of Maiduguri. I met one family who's living among a community of refugees.
My name is Bukar Mohammed. This is Aliu Bukar. This is Mohammed Bukar.
And this is the smallest one.
Alaji Modu.
Bukar's entire family was abducted by Boko Haram. They managed to escape by fleeing into the bush.
I had a gunshot. I said, what? I was thinking maybe soldiers, armies now. So the gunshot was too much. I said, no, this thing not be an army.
And your son, they sent to
training
camp?
Oh yes, training camp. When the boy jumped over the fence, so he said he must go and see his mommy. Yes.
So he escaped?
Fortunately, just escaped.
During the day, there's a ton of street life in Maiduguri. There's people in the market, school kids, all that stuff. You have to remember you're in an active conflict zone. So come dusk, like 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night, the streets empty out and everybody has to be in their homes because of this 7 p.m. curfew that's been instituted. Because of the security situation in the entire region, President Goodluck Jonathan declared a national state of emergency. In an unprecedented and highly criticized move, he delayed the national elections scheduled for this past February. The president believed if he destroyed Boko Haram, his election victory was assured. This belief led to a massive escalation of force, combining troops from Niger, Cameroon, and Chad, and the use of private military contractors. Collectively, with the Nigerian army, they would try to end the war against Boko Haram. So formerly this, what appears to be abandoned building, was the departure lounge of the Maiduguri airport. Now it's the logistical hub for the Nigerian army, and they're actually going to make their departure from here into the areas that are still controlled by Boko Haram. I had the opportunity to sit down with Private Jeremiah Friday, who's stationed at the de facto staging base at the Maiduguri airport. Along with 300 of his fellow soldiers, he's preparing for war. Jordan, how do you feel about the effort against Boko Haram? Do you think this is important?
Yeah, we need to come here so that we can settle the peace, because the innocent have been dying. They've been killing the innocent. So people have run away from their homes, make them homeless.
You feel good about going after Boko Haram?
Yeah, I want to fight for my country. And if I die for my country, I know I die for my country. When the Boko Haram started, they were like burning churches. So people thought they were Muslims. What are these people? They fight the Christian, they fight the Muslim. So nobody know about them.
And here in your unit, you have Muslims and Christians, right?
Yeah, we love each other. The Muslim pray, the Christian sit around and watch them as buddy, no problem. The Muslim and the Christian, we are all good. We are friends, brothers. We pray together. The Muslim go to mosque, the Christian go to church. We pray finish, we come back to muster parade. Everybody's fine.
While Private Friday's platoon was preparing for an offensive, we got word that a Nigerian outpost was attacked by Boko Haram, and there were 2 wounded soldiers who needed medevac. We hopped a ride to join one forward unit tasked with defending the front line in the city of Kundaga. Their location was 35 kilometers from Maiduguri, at the very edge of the conflict where no journalist had previously been allowed. So the men of the 103rd Battalion have been deployed here for almost a year. They come from all over Nigeria. This particular fire base, it's the very front line of the fight against Boko Haram.
Let them come. If they come now, you see what will happen. Ooh, ta 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 ta. We'll kick their ass. We'll kick their fucking ass, motherfuckers.
The formation that they're using to push into Boko Haram territory is an arrowhead formation. So the rest of the forces flank out in this direction, and at the very tip is this T-72 tank and these trenches, these 4-foot deep trenches that are dug behind me. And why is this place significant?
Because, as I used to say, I have a small sketch. If this place is captured, Boko Haram will have easy access to Maiduguri. So this place is very vital because it's an access from the Sambisa forest just to the south, not far away from here.
And we know since the Nigerian army's been on the offensive that they've been fleeing to the Sambisa forest, right?
Yes.
And they take refuge in there.
Yes.
And then they come out and they try and approach this area.
Yes.
This fire base gets attacked by Boko Haram. Everybody comes and jumps in this trench and starts firing back. You can see they've basically shot the shit out of that series of buildings that the Boko guys have been attacking from. And if you look at this berm right here, it's just littered with shell casings. For 6 months, the 103rd Battalion has been in a stalemate with Boko Haram in Kundaga. Other advances have pushed the remaining Boko Haram fighters to a defensive position in the city of Bama, one of the last strongholds of Boko Haram. Despite 3 failed attempts, the 103rd is making a final advance on the city. The combat started 24 hours prior to the ground assault. With a kill zone of 100 meters, each shell was eliminating all life within the size of a football field. After bombarding the enemy for hours on the eve of the ground invasion, the soldiers made a ceremonial toast, knowing that for some of them, it could be their last.
You that have kept us alive, Father, search our heart.
And what we'll do when we're done, do this. You know what it means?
No.
That means you adhere to the prayers that we're taking.
Very nice.
And now you are free to cheers.
Very well
Now we
said.
cheers.
Cheers.
It's better life.
To better life.
Yes, sir. Let me leave this place for you.
Jesus.
Get out from here! You're my godfather.
It's,
I said, get out!
It's about midnight on the front lines. Soldiers are relaxed. They basically don't go to sleep because they stay up all night and sleep during the day in case there's Boko Haram attacks. So if anything happens, jump right in this trench. That's it. That's life on the front lines.
My aim is to keep Boko Haram.
God damn it.
Kill! That's the only thing I know is to kill. Kill Boko Haram.
We're on a patrol in a queue of about 300 to 400 soldiers moving towards Bama. These guys are on a foot patrol. They're staying in one line with some tanks at the front and some support vehicles at the back because the road's supposed to be lined with IEDs, so it's safer than sort of flanking out in a tactical direction. Oh. The tanks returned after doing forward reconnaissance. There had been a blue-on-blue incident, otherwise known as friendly fire. Apparently, 2 soldiers had been killed when the fire force approaching from the left flank had mistaken another unit for Boko Haram. The invasion of Bama was stalled. The 103rd was ordered to spread out and hold their position. I caught wind that another assault was planned for the following morning. This time it would be led from the air. So I hustled back to the Maiduguri airport, where I hoped to catch a ride with the air assault force on one of the Mi-24 Hind attack helicopters. Today is the most significant day so far in the campaign against Boko Haram. This morning starts the invasion of Bama. So I'm going to be in one of the attack helicopters, the Mi-24. That's going to commence the attack, after which the ground forces are going to move in and attempt to rout Boko Haram from the city of Bama. The private military contractors provided technical advice to the 72nd Mobile Strike Force. In addition, they provided a fully operational air wing. We were able to accompany the air wing for the first part of the assault on Bama. The Mi-24 Hind attack helicopter is basically a flying tank. It was built by the Russians during the Cold War and can fire up to 4,000 rounds a minute. It's truly a devastating piece of military hardware and a game changer for the Nigerian army. After 2 hours, the helicopter assault team returned to base. The ground forces would move in. I waited on the tarmac for reports from the ground forces. Within 24 hours, we learned that the assault was a success. Boko Haram was routed from one of its major bases, scattering the few remaining fighters into the Sambisa forest. The following day, Nigerian tanks rolled through Bama with President Goodluck Jonathan in the lead. This marked the first time a Nigerian president was able to enter Bama since the beginning of the insurgency. Much attention has been given to the reports that foreign military contractors were involved in the war against Boko Haram. While the fog of war always blurs the line between multiple sets of combatants and non-combatants, it was my experience that this was a Nigerian military victory. Despite the success of his army, President Goodluck's luck ran out. 1 week after the assault on Bama, he lost the election to his opponent, former General Muhammadu Buhari. But the battle is far from over. The new president has promised the people of Nigeria he will finish the fight against a weakened Boko Haram. This will not be easy. The next stage of combat is likely a complicated counterinsurgency battle, an unconventional fight against an unconventional enemy.
La obsesión japonesa por la cultura de lo adorable ha dado un vuelco un tanto oscuro. El deseo por jóvenes colegialas ha generado que éstas brinden su servicio de compañía a hombres adultos. En 2014, el Departamento de Estado de Estados Unidos dio a conocer en su informe anual de trata de personas que este tipo de práctica o citas son realmente una fachada de comercio sexual. Simon Ostrovsky, corresponsal de VICE News, viajó al corazón de Tokio para conocer de cerca las actividades que rodean este tipo de práctica común.
This is the Akihabara neighborhood in central Tokyo, and it's ground zero for JK, which is what the Japanese call schoolgirl culture. Schoolgirls are actually a really big business in Japan. They sell everything, including cartoons, comic books, they pack music venues, they advertise cafes and restaurants, but you may not have known that you can actually also buy the schoolgirls themselves.
JK stands for Joshi Kosei, or high school girl, and along this strip, they're everywhere. Not shopping or hanging out like schoolgirls in Tokyo typically do, but selling various services, everything from fortune-telling to massages, to a walk with a client around the neighborhood. All this is being sold in the open, and under the constant watch of a group of men who appear to be the girls' bosses. Before long, one of them comes over and demands we stop filming.
But this is a public street, right?
Yeah.
So why can't we film on a public street? I don't understand.
We're saying that we could shoot that way.
That way. We can shoot that way. But he's making out like he owns the street.
But he said so they're saying like, just don't shoot the girls.
There's clearly more going on beneath the surface, and we were determined to find out what we could. So we dropped into one of the busiest JK businesses we could find around here, one of several music venues where pop groups made up of school-age girls played at packed houses most nights.
This is one of the JK bands. Hi, my name's Simon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. アキシブプロジェクトです。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。
The room is full of men, and many look to be years older than the performers, and they know the set list by heart. JK fans usually have a favorite girl, and they're fiercely devoted to her. Some even pay money for a chance at a little FaceTime after the show.
Polaroid pictures of them. They can meet them and speak with them. Pretty innocent when it's just teenagers meeting teenagers, but that guy's a little bit older.
You have this woman who is your fantasy, and you have an opportunity to meet her. But it doesn't seem real unless you actually touch the flesh. So that's part of the deal. I mean, you actually get close enough to her, get a scent of her, look into her eyes, and it perpetuates the fantasy.
Jake Adelstein has spent more than 20 years reporting on Japan's underworld for Japanese and American press outlets, including VICE News.
So when the JK are taking their Osan for a little bit more than a stroll, this is probably where they're going to wind up.
He's tracked the evolution of JK culture from its relatively benign beginnings to a dark and lucrative business.
So there would be older men that would spend money for girls to walk with them or talk with them because I guess they're lonely. Not every single guy who is paying money to spend time with a young girl wants to sleep with her or is a pervert. I would say maybe 70, 80%, but I don't know.
So do you think that a lot of these girls are being exploited?
There's a real gray zone there. Obviously, some of the girls are being exploited. The problem with the whole Osanto no Sampo, walking with these old guys, is the opportunities for that to turn into something really nasty are manifold. It's a business opportunity, and it can be a form of human trafficking, as the State Department indicated in their last white paper on it.
The report, an annual review of human trafficking in Japan, singled out the JK walking dates, saying they are often fronts for underage prostitution. Tokyo police only recently began raiding JK businesses that were fronts for prostitution. But many say the raids are largely for show. And walking around the Akihabara neighborhood, it seems like the news story should be about how many JK businesses are still open for business. We stopped by one, a tiny storefront on a busy street with suggestive pictures posted in the window. Nothing remarkable in a neighborhood full of places like this. But we wanted to see what an average JK business looked like on the inside.
Hi. Thank you. Apparently I can chat for half an hour for 3,000 yen, which is like $30. And we can also do fortune telling. Thank you. Okay, so what's next on the menu?
占いがあるんですけど、恋愛があらゆる方法を駆使してアプローチするでしょうって書いてあるんですけど、態度はクールでも心優しいって書いてあります。
Okay, that's true.
本当ですか?
This is a really uncomfortable experience. What sort of questions do your other clients usually ask you?
なんか世間話とか、何でも楽しければ。
It's hard to overlook the very creepy fact that an adult man has paid for the company of an attractive schoolgirl. And JKs often think they're agreeing to an innocent chat, when their employers and clients expect something entirely different.
これはまあお散歩の時にたまに。
That's what happened to this young woman, who agreed to speak with us on the condition that we concealed her identity.
What was your home situation like? Why do you think you decided to get involved when you were just 16 years old?
なんかその時はなんかお母さんがあんまり精神状態が良くなくて、で家族も仲があんま良くなくて、それでなんか居場所がないっていうか。
So you understood that you were supposed to walk with these men, but you thought that that was all you had to do.
なんかそこから軽い気持ちで始めたら、どんどんヒートアップしちゃったって感じです。なんかその裏のオプションもあるし、なんか変なことが多いっていうか、その交渉してなんか決めるオプションって感じで、それはその胸を触らせて、なんかお金もらうとか、その男の人をなんか抜くっていうか、抜くっていうか。
When you were under the age of 18, did you ever take money for having sex with these guys?
それはあります。
そうですね、夜の街を歩いてだいたい10時半以降終電前の街を歩いて帰ることができずに一人でいる少女に声をかけたりするような夜間の巡回活動と
This is one of the few advocates for JK girls. Her name is Yumeno Nito, and she says she's rescued more than 100 girls from trafficking, with dozens more calling her for help each week. This girl is the latest. She's hungry and lonely and ashamed about where life has taken her. Yumeno and 2 colleagues served the girl her first home-cooked meal in ages.
はい、ありがとうございます。今は、私たちは日本で、困窮状態にある少女たちの相談を受けています。で、中には JK ビジネスだとか売春や人身取引の被害に遭っている少女からの相談があって、そういう女の子の救済や、いろんな支援につないだりしています。友達とかは学校？
いないです。
そうだった。
絶対いない。
そうなんだよね。
もうシャレになんないぐらい全くいないんで本当に。
売る少女が悪いっていうような考え方が根底にはあります。残念ながらそこに少女たちが行き着くまでにはその背景には家庭での問題だったりとか学校での孤立を抱えている少女がほとんどです。
Japan has been described as a shame-based culture, where the fear of letting down family or society dominates almost everything else. In the case of many JKs who've been coerced into sex, like this girl, they'd rather go into hiding and face hunger than seek help from family or friends.
すごい美味しい本当に。
本当に誰かとご飯食べた？
いつだろう最後。いつだろう。
Yumeno knows what it's like to be all alone. As a teenage runaway, several men tried to recruit her into the schoolgirl sex industry.
社会に誰も私に期待してくれてる大人はいないって思っていました。で、そういう時に街で生活をしている時に声をかけてくる大人というのが手を差し伸べる大人ではなくて、その買春を持ちかけてきたり危険な JK ビジネスに斡旋するような大人しか本当にいなくて、で、私は幸い、売春やそういう人身取引の被害には遭わずに済んだんですけど、たくさんの友達はやっぱりそこで傷つけられて自殺したり失うこともありました。
It would be easy and unfair to single Japan out as the only culture to sexualize young girls. Tens of millions of dollars have been made on American pop culture exploiting the leering gaze of adults on underage girls. But there's something unique and especially unsettling about the fact that right out in the open, schoolgirls are available for rent by the hour in one of Tokyo's busiest neighborhoods.
Japan has signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's a member of the UN. It has agreed to uphold the Poloma protocols against human trafficking. All we're asking Japan to do is to live up to the international agreements that they've agreed to. And publicly, at least, politicians profess that they want equality for men and women.
買う大人と売る大人がいなくならない限りはこの問題はなくならないでしょう。大人たちは言葉巧みに少女たちを取り込み続けると思います。
La próxima semana, VICE News presenta el costo humano de la crisis migratoria hacia Europa y el infierno que sufren los migrantes en su paso por el norte de África. Busca más documentales y noticias de todo el mundo en vicenews.com, en el canal de YouTube o la cuenta de Facebook VICE News en español o en este mismo espacio la próxima semana.